Hello and welcome to the Little Drops of Wonderful podcast. This is my place on YouTube where I talk about all of my knitting and crochet shenanigans that I've been up to over the past few weeks, as well as other crafty things and reading and visiting yarn shows and all the lovely stuff in life basically. My name is Ali. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Starry Eyes Ali. And I've also got another vlogging channel called This Little Wonderful Life, where I'm currently right bang smack in the middle of doing Vlogtober, if you want to take a look at that. All of the links to those things are underneath, including all of my show notes where I link all of the patterns I mention, designers, yarns and other things that might be helpful. But if I miss anything out, please feel free to drop me a comment and ask, or an email, which is also in the description box. I'll be happy to help. It's been a busy few weeks. Work has been busy, Dan has been ill, Vlogtober is in full swing. I've been to the knitting and stitching show at Alexandra Palace in London, so I've got some bits to show you from there. And if you're interested, I did do a kind of mini vlog about that on my other channel, and I will link that video underneath because I know that people like to have a little browse vicariously around a knitting and stitching show if you get the chance, so I'll link that underneath. I've even got some stuff finished, which is amazing. So I've got a finished object. How many have I got? I've got one FO and one HO, half finished object. Foes and hoes. And all of that, plus the Strictly Sockalong is in full swing. So I'll be talking a little bit about that as well. So it's been a really busy and fabulous few weeks. I've just been having such a lovely time. Despite the stresses, obviously Dan getting sick and ending up in hospital and all of that was a bit stressy, but he's fine. He'll be back to work on Tuesday and the medication he's on seemed to have brought his symptoms under control. If you don't know, Dan suffers from ulcerative colitis, but he hasn't had a flare-up in nearly 10 years. I also used to suffer from ulcerative colitis, but had a major operation 10 years ago in 2012, so I no longer have a bowel, therefore I no longer have ulcerative colitis. That's the way to do it. I've got my Strictly Socks mug, of course. This was made for me by lovely, lovely Adele of Toadstool House Art. I nearly said Art of Toadstool House Adele then. I don't know where my brain went. And I love this, so of course I've got to use it for the whole of the Strictly Sockalong. Right, shall we get started? Oh, I should say what I'm wearing as well. This is, I'm really happy to be wearing it because it's the perfect day for this today. It's about 14 degrees, so it's a little bit chilly. We've still not got the heating on because we were refusing to turn it on until we're absolutely desperate for it. And yeah, so this is my As If tee, which is perfect because it's made with worsted weight yarn, which is really nice and warm. And then this is a mohair, which is a bit itchy, to be honest. I'm hoping that I get used to it. But it's not so bad that it will put me off wearing it. So it's nice and warm, but obviously my arms are free so I don't get too hot and bothered. And it's a pattern by Knit and Crochet, who is Shay Johnson. I'll stand up so you can see it. And it's inspired by one of the outfits in Clueless, one of the outfits that Cher wears where she's got a vest over a t-shirt. So it's called the As If tee. And you've got see-through bits up here, it's knit intarsia, and then the non-see-through bits here. And that's how it looks at the back. Ta-da! Okay, that's enough prancing about. Let's have another gulp of tea, and then we will get started with foes and hoes, finished objects and half-finished objects. So my first finished object is a pair of DK socks. And this was because I went to the Southern Wool Show back in September, and it seemed that everywhere we went, my friend Sarah and I, we just kept seeing DK socks, so it really inspired us to have a go. And then we were at the Snuggling Yarns booth, and she was selling a DK version of her Halloween colour, which is Vintage Vampire, which you'll see in a minute. And she was also selling a pattern by Lulabella Knits, and it's a DK knitted sock pattern called the Duvet Day socks, which is inspired by having duvet days when you're suffering from chronic illness, a day when you need to stay at home and not work and rest and so on. And £1 from the sale of every pattern of the Duvet Day socks, which I'll link underneath, goes to Crohn's and Colitis UK. And as I've already mentioned, that is a charity that's very close to our hearts in this house, with Dan and I both having suffered, and my mum has Crohn's as well. So it's a fantastic cause anyway, but the pattern itself is gorgeous as well. Oh, sorry, right, I've finished my tea now, so we don't need to worry about cutting out gulping. The pattern is £5.50. Like I say, £1 of that goes towards Crohn's and Colitis. And yeah, basically to raise awareness for chronic conditions. And these are my finished Duvet Day socks. So I am so pleased with these. I'm definitely going to make another pair. Come a bit closer to show you. It was so dark about 20 minutes ago. I didn't think I was going to be able to film and be seen, but it has lightened up considerably. So this is the Vintage Vampire colourway by Snuggling Yarns, and the Duvet Day socks. And you can see it is a series of knit and slip stitches, which creates this really kind of squidgy, thick fabric. And these are going to be so lovely and warm. They were going to be for me, but both of my girls have already had their eyes on them. So what I might have to do is make 2 other pairs in different colours. And there they are. They are top down, and I knit mine with a needle size that I haven't written down, but I'm pretty sure it's 3mm. Pretty sure it's 3mm, and I love them. They were so fun to knit, they were so quick to knit, and they're so squidgy now they're finished, and I can definitely see a lot more DK socks in my future. This was a 100-gram skein and I had 24 grams left. So that's what, oh, don't do maths on the podcast, 76 grams used. So if I make another pair, I can then use, oh no, stop it, no. I'm not going to get into doing maths, it'll all just go horribly wrong. So really happy with those. Now my half finished object is my first pair of Strictly socks. So it's living in my fabulous Charleston bag by Sarah Jo Makes. And I got this last year because she donated one as a prize and she gave me one, and I love it. It's got handles and a drawstring. It's got little decoration key ring on it to make it even more fabulous. I love it, and it's the perfect sock size. Just going to grab a sock blocker, and I have finished my first Strictly sock for this year. I have used the Glitter Ball colourway by Wool is the Answer. So every year they do a Strictly inspired colourway, and this year it is Glitter Ball, and it's, to me, it looks like the light that reflects in all the little mirrors on a glitter ball. It's really, really lovely. And I had this little mini and decided to just do one little row at the top to start it off, because it was a really similar colour to the other colours, some of the other yellows, oranges in here. So I did that, and then my intention was also to use it for the toe, but I was so into knitting the sock that I completely forgot to do that. So the only contrast I've got is the little bit at the top, but I kind of love that. I think it's really, really lovely. And the pattern, by the way, should have said this straight away, is the Rhapsody socks by Kay James of the Bakery Bears. It's inspired by Queen and the film Bohemian Rhapsody. Queen is one of Lilia's favourite bands, Lilia being my eldest daughter, she's 16. And we love the film. And because it's kind of music related, I thought that was a really good theme for my first pair of Strictly socks. I, of course, have got my glitter ball stitch marker there. And this hasn't been blocked or anything, other than being on a sock blocker right now, because I'll do that once both pairs of both socks are finished. And I haven't got very far at all with the second sock because I've been vlogtobering, which requires a lot of editing. I've literally just done the cuff and I've just started on the leg. The pattern is really addictive. I did do it a bit longer than I normally would in the leg just because I was enjoying the pattern so much, which doesn't normally happen with me. I think I'm more of a product knitter than a process knitter. I was just enjoying it so much, I just kept going. So it's a little bit longer in the leg, and I'm really happy about that. And that is my half finished object. Oh, I should show the label for Wool is the Answer as well. That's their logo. And like I say, everything's linked underneath anyway if you need to find them. And if it's not linked, it'll be written down, so you just have to copy and paste it into Google. Google is your friend. Okay, works in progress. I'm not going to talk about my litmus cow. Oh, 2 minutes in, well, probably not 2 minutes, 10 minutes in, and my battery has gone. Fortunately, I've come prepared with spares. Excuse me a minute. Okay, there we go. It's probably all moved a bit now, hasn't it? But fresh battery is in. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about my litmus cow because although I have made progress on it, it's not enough to really be that interesting since I last showed you. So I'm going to move on to something that is interesting and I've made a lot of progress on, and that is my lobster on the rocks hat. So I think this is the 4th time I've tried to start this. It's living in my amazing Little Drops of Wonderful bag that was made for me by Narwhal's Creations. Echo and Loma, and they are the Rogan Camp Girls podcast. They're absolutely lovely. And they made this for me and I love it so much. And I've got a hat project in here. A lobster on the rocks hat, as I just said. And the pattern is getting super bashed and it's not a terribly good picture, but that's what the lobster on the rocks hat looks like. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this beautiful crown that you can see at the top. It depends on the size of the hat by the time I finish the lobsters, because the problem I've been having is it's been too big. So I've gone right down now to size 2mm needles. Is that right? Yeah, size 2mm needles, because I was really struggling with how big it was. Although of course now I'm worried it's going to be too small. But I'm keeping going anyway, and I shall learn the lessons as I go. And I've made great progress on it, and I've been really enjoying it. Even though colour work is not my forte, I don't consider myself to be terribly good at it, and I do get a bit in entanglement. I have really started to build the pattern. And this is curling a bit, but I think it's supposed to. I think that's the idea. You do the first few rows all just knit. So I think it's supposed to have a bit of a curl to the brim. Let's have a look at the picture. Or maybe, oh, maybe not. Maybe that'll come out slightly in the blocking, I don't know. No, we're not going to worry about that now. It's the least of my worries right now. I've got to knit colour work lobsters with seaweed and stripes. And of course I've got a little lobster. Dan bought me these ages ago. Little lobster stitch marker keeping me company on there as well, but I'm so pleased with it. And look, it's not too messy. I mean, it's not expertly done, but it's not too messy on the underside, on the back side, on the reverse, whatever you want to call it. And what I love about colour work, of course, is that it is so warm because you have that layer of carried yarn. It kind of creates that kind of double thickness, which makes it so warm. So I'm really hoping it does fit me and it's not too small. It's not quite at the stage where I can try it on my head yet. It's not long enough. But yeah, so that is well underway. I'm really pleased with it. The pattern is by Donna Frost Ritchie, and that is Mrs. Knitter Designs. The pattern was a gift and the kit was a gift as well. And I just want to thank the people who had the faith in me to give it a go and thought that I was capable of doing it, because every time I do colour work, I really enjoy it. So I had to put this down for a little while again because in Vlogtober, my time that I would normally spend knitting and crocheting and crafting is spent editing, which to me is another form of crafting and I love it. But this kind of crafting has to take a bit of a back burner, so I will be returning to this very soon. And that is my lobster on the rocks hat. Okay, so I'm going to give you a very quick flash of Lilia's birthday dress. Now, bear in mind that Lilia's birthday was the 31st of March. But the problem was I didn't get it finished, and then she wanted it to be a surprise. But she's always here, so I can't, whenever I'm crocheting, she's there, so I couldn't crochet it. Anyway, she's now said she'd rather have the dress than the surprise, so I'm now allowed to crochet on it when she's about. And I'm so close to finishing, to be honest. All I've got to do is a bit more on the length and then do like the border. So it is the Mystique dress by Hook Loops, and and I will put a picture up on the screen of what it looks like. The colours have been inspired by the version made by the Silver Knot, which Lilia saw on Instagram and just fell in love with. So this is it. I'm going to put it on. Ooh. Right. Oh dear. Oh, yarn everywhere. So it is going to be quite short, and she's going to wear it with a kind of shirt underneath it, as in the picture from the Silver Knot. So as you can see, at the moment it's just kind of, try to get it level. So if I had it like that, it's kind of, once it's blocked a bit, it's kind of baby doll length. That's not going to help, is it? If I stand up. There we go. So it's kind of baby doll length. So it needs to come down a few inches. It doesn't have to be super long. She isn't going to be wearing it on its own. She's going to have like leggings or something underneath it. But I think it needs to come down a good few inches to about sort of top of mid-thigh. And that's where we are. And then there's a trim that goes around here and all around the straps, and then the straps will come in, I know I've done this before, but just in case you haven't seen this before, it will come in a it will come in a cross like that, and then the trim will form little eyelets, and then you go through the eyelets, come back and tie it. And that's how it works. And it's a really good pattern. I got a bit stuck at the beginning and I emailed the designer and she was so helpful. Hang on, let me get this off first. Yeah, she was so helpful in getting back to me and explaining it. And the way it's done actually makes total sense. You kind of knit it to the size you need rather than a specific gauge. It's really clever. I'm now worried that's a bit too orange rather than peachy. Anyway, I need to get this finished because it's been too long and she's been very patient, bless her. So that is the Mystique dress by Hook Loops. Oh, and I should say the yarn I'm using as well, shouldn't I? I'm using Shackenmeyer Catania yarn. That's the dusty pink colour that I'm using. That is colour 00246. And then the orange is colour 00296, if you're interested. And it's all living in my beautiful gigantic bag that I got when I did a swap with lovely Marta quite some time ago now. But I really like this bag, really nice and roomy and perfect for this project. Okay, what else do I want to talk about? My Carla top, very briefly. Is it in here? Yeah. Living in My Bag by Julie of So Unique. I love this bag so much. It's got the Highland Coo, and then it's got one of her daughter Adele, who designed the mug. Well, helped me tweak my design and put it on a mug. She designs these as well. I will link Adele's shop underneath, and Julie's. And in here I've got my Carla top, but I haven't made much progress on it since last we spoke, so I'll just give you a brief update. I'm using this beautiful yarn by My Mama Knits. It's called Change Lobsters Again, and it was a gift from my lovely friend Lorraine in Cyprus, who you may remember as Lorraine Pugh Designs. I think she's now Consciously Crochet on Instagram. Lovely, lovely Lorraine. And I'm using this to make the Carla top. It's a knitted top, and I'm knitting this because my friend Sarah, who I went to the Southern Wool Show with, was wearing one of these and I really, really loved it. I'm not sure how I feel about the yarn at the moment for it, but I'm going to keep going and see. I had a little bit of issue measuring gauge, so this bit that I've knit has actually been blocked. I actually took it off, I've blocked it and measured, because you need to have a good idea of your blocked lace gauge in order to know how far to knit so that you get the right size armholes. So I have blocked it and I now know my gauge. So I know I've got a fair bit more knitting to do yet. And as far as I can tell, from the pattern. I wonder if I can actually look up the pattern, because I thought it was knit in 2 parts, but someone messaged me recently to say it's not. You actually knit the top bit in 2 parts and then the bottom bit is knit in the round, which just goes to show how far ahead I read a pattern before I start making it. Okay, so the pattern is by Pip and Pin, the Carla crop top. Doobie-doobie-doo. Yeah, so it looks like what you do is you work the front top and the back top, then you join them together, and then you work the body in the round and decrease for the waist before adding the hem. And it does have the option to add an elasticated waist as well, which is interesting. So that's good because that's not a construction that I've done before, so that'll be really fun to do. And that is the Carla top. I've not got much else to say about it, but as I understand it, quite a few people have mentioned that stitching the high notes, which I haven't watched yet, spoken quite good detail about the Carla top that she made. So if you are interested in that, which I am as well, so I will be heading over there to watch, because so many of you have recommended that channel and I still haven't done so, and you know what you're talking about, so you've obviously got good taste. If you're here already. So I'm going to head over there and watch that. So yeah, am I really low down on the screen? I hope I'm in focus as well. I haven't done anything weird. No, I don't think so. I think I'm all right. So that is my Carla top. Nothing more to say on that. Now I'm going to talk about something I've never really spoken about before in my works in progress, and that is spinning. Drop spindle spinning, to be precise. I have a little finished skein here of drop. When we say finished and when we say yarn, we're using both of those terms extraordinarily loosely. So this is my first go. I did a workshop a couple of years ago at the Southern Wool Show with a little bit sheepish, and I got a kit and I got the fluff and I got the drop spindle and a bit of a lesson, and I never really got the hang of it terribly well, but I've kept trying, and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to wind that off, what I've done, and ply it, put it in a little skein and call it my first ever spun yarn, and then move on and use something else and you know, start afresh. This is the result of my first foray into drop spindle spinning, drop spindling, or however you say it. So as you can see, it's just all over the place. This is plied. What I did was I took it off the drop spindle and wound it in, actually I wound it around a toilet roll tube until it was about half, and then I wound the rest of it onto another toilet roll tube, and then I rolled it all into a ball together, the 2 strands, and then I plied it the separate way, the different way round to how I'd spun it together, and then I gave it a soak and weighed it down and let it dry. So I'm quite pleased with it. I think I could knit something random with it if I wanted to, but I kind of just like the fact that this is my first go, so I think it might just live as a reminder of what I did. I don't know. I'm going to pop it in my basket up here. This is my basket of preciouses. So I then bought the most gorgeous fluff from Witchcrafty Lady when I was at the Southern Wool Show. That's her logo. So this is Superwash Polworth. Got 98 grams here, and it's such gorgeous colours, and I thought if I'm going to start afresh, I want to start afresh with something I'm going to really enjoy seeing spin up. But then I got a bit scared of spinning it because I was like, but it's so pretty, I don't want to ruin it. And then I went to the knitting and stitching show, and I was at Orchidean Yarns, the luxury yarns company, and she had a load of bags like this. There's her logo. She's actually closing down soon. She's coming out of the yarn business. I was chatting to her at her stall. But she was selling off these in different colours, and I got the fields of green, and I've got 6 times 25 grams, and they're natural mixed fibres. So I've got merino, silk, bamboo, stellina. I'll just take that out. So I've got this one that's got stellina in it. So pretty. Oh, this one's lovely. This is like it's Christmassy. It's like a Christmas tree. This one's got little neps in it. And so is this one. So I really liked it. Really kind of autumnal colours and lots of different textures and yarn type, fibre types to play with. So I've started on the green with Stellina. I'm really surprised at how much you get. Yeah, it's amazing for 25 grams. So I've been spinning away, I've been watching a few videos, I've got some advice from comments on Instagram, and I've been just slowly practicing, trying to do about 15 minutes every day to just try and get the feel of it. And it has been an incredibly slow process for me. Like, it hasn't come naturally. Like, I haven't had an aha moment where I'm like, oh, okay, I get that. That hasn't happened yet. But this is definitely a better second attempt than my first one. So I've still got so much to learn. I had to, in the end, I took a knife and I made a groove in the side of my drop spindle because it just wasn't sitting, it was just sliding about. So that's really helped me. And one of my main issues is I keep breaking it and then I keep pulling it too thin and then it's too thick and so on. But as you can see, it is looking a lot better than my first attempt. Still got the thick and thin bits. Look at it, it's so sparkly and pretty. And it is definitely a lot more fun to see how the fluff becomes what colour yarn it becomes than it is to just spin the plain stuff. So I think this has definitely made it more playful and fun. And it is quite addictive. Like I'll sit down to do it for 15 minutes and I'll still be doing it an hour later and I've forgotten to drink my tea or something. It was gone cold. And it's perfect to do in front of the telly because you can do it and watch the telly really easily. So when I don't have brain space for knitting or crochet in the evening, this has been perfect. So I've been really enjoying it. So that is my little foray into spinning. So now I'm really excited to start on this. I feel a bit more confident now, so I'll keep you posted on how I get on. Oh, bits of fluff everywhere now. Right, let's move on to some patterns. Over the past few weeks, loads and loads of patterns have come to my attention, and I do like to sometimes do this new segment where I talk about patterns that have come to my attention and that I want to share. And I really enjoy doing it, and I've had some really good feedback on it. So I thought I'd share some of the patterns that have been on my radar over the past few weeks. There is a lot. And I'm going to put pictures up as I talk. So the first one is Audrey's Cardigan by Elizabeth Smith. And this was suggested by Cindy Keane. It is a top-down, bulky weight cardigan, and I really love the shape, and I love that contrast detail that's around the cuff and the hem. This is the adult version of her other pattern, which is Audrey's First Day, which was a child's cardigan, and I just really like it. So that's definitely on my radar for a future make. It looks like a staple thing. I like wearing cardigans, and I think that is something I would wear a lot if I made it in the right yarn. So I wanted to share that one. And then I had a gift pattern, which was a really lovely surprise. It was from Nick at Tea Cake Make, and she shared with me her beautiful heartwarming socks pattern as a thank you for the vlogs and the videos. So thank you so much, Nick. That was really kind of you. And it's a colourwork sock project, which I have yet to do. For some reason, I feel a bit nervous about it, but these look like they could be well within my skill set, so I really love them, so I wanted to share those as well. And then sticking with socks, I picked up a couple of really good sock patterns from looking at the Strictly Sockalong threads and seeing what kind of patterns people were using there, and I wanted to share a couple of dancing related themed socks because I thought they would be really good for the Strictly Sockalong. So if you are joining in, and I will talk about the Sockalong in a bit, but the Dancing Dream Socks by Tracy Backer-Locken. This was used by Amanda, who is Like66. I really liked that particular pattern. And then a crochet pattern, which I really want to make. They look so good, and they look like they could be really fun to make, is the Granny is Dancing Socks by Magpie and Goblin. Best name ever, Magpie and Goblin. I think she's called Sarah. These were mentioned by Paula, who is Knitting Purple, spotted it in the Ravelry thread, and they are basically granny stitch socks, crochet granny stitch socks using fingering weight, and they're only £1.50, which I thought was pretty bargain price. Somebody mentioned, Jane Daniel mentioned that she was making the My Cup of Tea socks by, I think, Robin Lynn, because she always has a cup of tea while she's watching Strictly, so I thought they were quite good, and they're really pretty socks. So I had a huge catch up on Ravelry. I got so behind on messages and the threads, and the other day I just had the most wonderful day sitting going through all the Ravelry threads and looking at my messages, and it was just so much fun drinking tea, eating biscuits and doing that. And because of that, I picked up a few recommended patterns for my Ravelry messages from forever ago, so I wanted to mention them now. So back in 2020, Angie, who is Melandra on Ravelry, recommended the Ocean Breeze pattern by Boo Knits, and I wanted to share this because she has the most amazing lace patterns. I have seen them before. They are so beautiful. She'd recommended the pattern for my a couple of skeins of yarn I bought when I was in Denmark in 2018, which I still haven't used. 4 years. That just speaks volumes about my stash, honestly, and my inability to get through it. But she recommended the Ocean Breeze pattern, so I just wanted to share that because it is so beautiful. And also ages ago, Rocky Mountain Penny, it was Penny, she recommended CJ Brady Designs for her one skein patterns, and that she has loads to check out. I particularly like the Plot Thickens and the Mayraki, which is a Greek word, and I've put pictures of those two things up on the screen now. Yes, she's got. I would highly recommend going and check her out because she's got loads of really lovely one skein patterns, and I definitely need to do that with some of my beautiful stash yarn. And then another Angela in 2020 recommended a pattern by Purple Iguana, which led me to Purple Iguana's Ravelry page, which meant that I was down a little rabbit hole looking at all of her things. All of her patterns are crocheted, they're all free, and I loved what she says. She says you can pretty much do what you like with the finished item, including world domination, as long as she gets a parking space wherever she wants once the world is yours. I just love that. And she says she doesn't charge for her patterns because she doesn't get them tested, and she just feels a bit weird about charging for it. So I particularly liked the very, very simple bonfire shell scarf. That's hard to say. It's a very simple, flexible design, and loads of people have actually made it a lot wider to make a wrap or even a blanket. And I really like the idea of knitting quite a long crochet scarf, maybe with some of my minis. So I've added that one to my favourites. So that concludes the patterns that have been on my radar over the past few weeks. I hope you enjoy hearing about those. Claudia of Crochet Luna used to do something called Pattern Palooza, and I used to love that, except she was a lot better at it because she used to print them out and show them and everything. But I don't know, there was something about hearing about patterns. It was like someone else doing the browsing for you, and you're like, oh, I like that. So I hope that's of interest to you. I'm going to talk about Skillshare. Don't go away, because you know that the Skillshare bit is fun, because I've always in this segment learned something new, and this week is no exception. I'm a bit nervous to share it with you, but I'm also going to give you an update on my cartography, my map of sweater knitting that I did last time as well. So this video is very kindly sponsored by Skillshare, which is an online learning community of thousands of creative classes with members and teachers from all around the world. I've been a member now for almost a year, so I frequently dipping into it and losing huge chunks of time, falling down a endless creative rabbit hole of ultimate inspiration. There are classes on every creative subject you can imagine, from editing, cooking, baking, sewing, knitting, crochet, embroidery, needlepoint, drawing. If you're creative and you love to discover new creative skills, it's absolutely brilliant, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. There's even celebrity teachers. I'm halfway through a class, which I'm not talking about today, with Khalees, the singer, who I didn't know until I watched this class, but she went to, she learned at Cordon Bleu in Paris, and she is a, what's it called? A saucier. She makes sauces. So I'm halfway through a class with her, and she's amazing and just delicious. Jonathan Van Ness is on there. Roxanne Gray has got a lesson on personal essay writing. So many things. I have so far done classes in drawing, doodling, cooking, needlepoint. And last time I did an episode on using cartography to explore situations, feelings and emotions. And I think that's possibly my most favourite class to date. I loved it. Oh, and I'm just dropping things out of my sketchbook here. So I want to give you a bit of an update on that before I tell you what I've been learning this time around, because your response to my map, my cartography of knitting a sweater was so positive, and I want to thank you for that, because I felt a little bit shy about it and you all seem to really love it. I've also had some really good suggestions for things to add, so I wanted to tell you about that. So the class I did was with Amandine Thomas, and I did a map of making a sweater. So it kind of charted the journey that you go on when you're knitting a sweater. So you start in the Ravelry C, you've got the Pinterest Delta, so this is where you get all your inspiration ideas. And then I've got Terra Incognita here, which is unexplored territory, which of course is brioche, which I've never done. The sheep of possibility on these cliffs here. Then you can choose to take the crochet trail or the knitting path. I hope this is in focus. You go past the Alps of existing works in progress. You've got Mount Gage to overcome here. And then, you know, it gets plain sailing for a bit and you pass through Netflix Village, you're knitting away. Then you might hit Sleeve Island. I had a plateau here last time, I didn't know what to call it. I've gone with the ribbing plateau because that's the bit I find really boring at the end when you have to do miles of ribbing. Then you might reach the Mojo Bridge and cross over and get lost and lose your mojo. Or you might go into the tunnels of distraction and end up spinning or casting on new projects or starting a new hobby like sewing. But eventually you make it to the finished object castle, but you have to pass the yarn chickens to get there. I really wish I hadn't coloured these in because I wanted it to look like a map and it wouldn't have been coloured in. But anyway, the FO castle has finished objects hanging outside. Now I had a few suggestions because I've got a bit of a gap here. I'm not going to tell you all the suggestions I had, partly because I haven't caught up on all of them, but I just wanted to pull out a few of my favourites. Both Hazel and Beverly said to add a frog pond, which I thought was really clever. And Hazel also said to add the learning centre of YouTube, which I really liked as well. And C. Grin said I could add, so I've got a river that runs up here where Sleeve Island is, and then it runs under Mojo Bridge. And she said we could call that the River of Drop Stitches, which I thought was really good. So I might call this the River of Drop Stitches. And then, oh, I haven't written it down. Somebody somewhere suggested adding a bog. Oh, that was rubbish, wasn't it? I thought I'd written everything down. I thought it was organised, but apparently I'm not. So I'm going to add here, like the bog of, you know, tinking back or something, or getting tangled up to fill that space. And I'm going to make my river the River of Drop Stitches. So I really like that idea. And I really like the map idea for exploring different things and emotions. So I'm definitely going to be doing that in the future as well. Anyway, I've gone off on a tangent because I need to tell you about what class I did this time. So this time I did iPhone photography. Now don't think that you can't do this if you don't have an iPhone. It's basically about photography, but he teaches the class using an iPhone to sort of demonstrate the simplicity of it, but you can do it whatever phone you have. And it's iPhone photography, how to take pro photos on your phone with Dale McManus. I wanted to do this primarily to take photos of mushrooms. Because at this time of year, I'm utterly obsessed with photographing and filming mushrooms, which if you've been watching my Vlogtober, you will be well aware of. But also to help with the photos that I take at work. So I take a lot of photos for social media where I work, and I really wanted to up my game a bit there because it's beautiful where I work and I want to be able to do, like, convey that in a much better way with the photos that I take. And I always use my phone to do that when I'm at work. So I just wanted to improve it a bit. Did anyone else hear that? Say hello to the viewers and then say goodbye. I don't have a cat. This is next door's cat. See if you can hear her purring. You're a happy cat, aren't you? She's very well loved, but she does like to come into our house for a little lie down. But you shouldn't be in here because I'm filming a podcast, so let's get rid of you. Dan, can you come and evict the cat? Oh no, don't worry, she's gone into Phoebe's room. All right. She's gone into Phoebe's room for a lie down under her bed. That's her favourite place. Right, where was I? The class goes through settings on your phone, which probably would apply to an iPhone, but mainly it goes through things like composition, the perspective in a photo, and editing your photos using an app called Lightroom. Which is completely free, and I've been using it really successfully. It has got a pro version, but he says himself as a professional photographer he never uses it, and I haven't felt the need to use the pro version either. And I've been really loving it. So what I'm going to do is show you a couple of examples of photos that I've edited. So I'm going to show you on the screen a couple of my mushroom pictures that I took, and then I'm going to blur it into the new and improved version of the mushroom pictures just to show you. Now I'm only halfway through this class and I haven't even got on to the macro side of the photography, and obviously the photos I'm showing you are macro, so there's probably more to learn there as well. And there was also a photo I took of part of our local heathland recovering from the fires of the summer. That was the first thing I did to edit. So I will sort of be putting things on the screen now to show you what I've been learning. And I know a lot of you have spoken about being interested in photography, and I think a lot of us do like to capture the world around us. If you're creative, you do. I think we like to do that in different ways, whether that's drawing or painting or photography. For me, I really do enjoy just picking up my little iPhone, which I have with me all the time, which apparently has got about 3 reminders going off, and I'm going, oh yeah, I remember. And being able to take decent photos and then go and edit them. And I find that process of editing a photo just so relaxing. I love it. So that's what I've been doing. So you can take this course right now for free by using the link in my description box, and you'll also receive unlimited access to tens of thousands of additional classes for a whole month. You get a whole month free with Skillshare. When you join using my link, which I've just said, I'm saying it again. And it's really worth it. Like I said, I've been a member now for a year. I get a membership with Skillshare as part of my collaboration with them. And yeah, I can't imagine not having it. I just absolutely love it. Please read the terms and conditions. Make sure you read the small print and you know how to cancel your membership if you want to. And that is Skillshare. Thank you very much, Skillshare, for sponsoring me again. I am loving it. Should we talk about some incoming things? I think so. So as you know, as I've mentioned, I went to the knitting and stitching show at Ali Pali, which is what we affectionately call Alexandra Palace here in London. Here in London? I live in Kent. In London. London's up the road. So I picked up my friend Becky, who's one of my oldest friends, and she's a sewer, but she's been getting into crochet recently, and we went together and we had such a lovely day. And it was really nice to go to because previously I've only ever been to yarn shows, so this was a completely different beast. And of course, Alexandra Palace is an amazing place. And we had a lovely day, and I discovered some new yarn dyers that I'd not seen before. And I made some exciting purchases of yarn and other things. So I first wanted to give a shout out to a couple of yarn dyers who I didn't buy from or didn't get yarn from. The first one is Ammo Yarn. I really like her leaflet as well. She is heavy on the neon colours. She was absolutely lovely to talk to, and that's her details if you're interested to go and have a look. So I wanted to give her a shout out. My friend Becky bought some yarn from her and it was beautiful. And I also wanted to give a shout out to, well, I think I'm gonna have to put this on the screen because I took a video of his card. He was called I can't remember what he was called. Anyway, he was Ukrainian, but he hasn't lived in the Ukraine for quite some time. He's based in Edinburgh. His yarn was just beautiful. Hopefully I've still got the footage and I'll put it on the screen as I'm talking. And I just really wanted to give him a shout out because I hadn't seen him before, and yeah, really, really beautiful yarn. And then the yarns that I got were from, so first of all, I stopped by Cozy Kitchen Fibres. That's a card, lovely Fiona and her husband at Cozy Kitchen Fibres. And she stopped me because she watches my videos, so we had a lovely chat, and she said to choose a skein from the store that I could have as a gift, as a thank you for the videos. And that was so kind of her. So I went for an Aran weight yarn in the Wildflower Fairy colour. And what I really liked about her store was all the colourway names are on the front of the label, so you can see them straight away, which I thought was really, really good. So this is Aran weight Superwash Merino Aran. And it's so delicate and pretty. She had this in all weights. But yeah, like I say, I just really fancy getting some Aran. Got enough fingering weight to last me a lifetime. It wasn't skeined up like this on the store. I have unskeined it and re-skeined it. And I'm no good at that. So that is from Cozy Kitchen Fibres. And then I went, Weku Yarn were there. They're two sisters, and they dye yarn inspired by their, I think their dad's Ghanaian heritage. So they've all got really interesting names. And I saw them at the Waltham Abbey Wool Show in January, and I didn't buy any of their yarn, and then I really regretted it. So I got this beautiful skein. This is also in Aran weight. I cannot pronounce the colourway name, so I'm just going to show you. But yeah, so that is also 100% superwash merino. So it's the same fibres, same weight. And I have an idea for these because they look so lovely together. So I was having a look through Ravelry, and I found an Aran weight hat pattern. It is called the Calliope Slouch. It is by Danielle Arsenyuk, which I'm pretty sure I'm saying wrong. And it is you use two colours to create a sort of textured colour pattern, and then the rib is done in one colour. So what I was thinking was I could possibly get two hats out of the two yarns. That could be wishful thinking, but that's what I'm thinking. So stay tuned for that. Because that's the idea that I've got at the moment for those two yarns. And then, as I said, with Skillshare, I did needlepoint. So I did a needlepoint class, and I created my little thing. And this was just with an old plastic cross stitch, I don't know what you call it, like thing with squares that you sew into. From a kit that one of the girls had and was getting rid of, and then some leftover acrylic yarn, and I managed to do this little thing which I just love, and it was just so fun to do. And then this was, I thought, a really lovely affordable kit that I got from Hannah Bass Needlepoint, and she had 4 different colourways. I chose the one with the dot on with the bright yellow in the background, but I like all of those colourways actually. And she had other things. She had individual letters or symbols and different words and things. So I got this because I thought it was £15 and you get everything you need to do it, and I just love it. I just really looking forward to giving this a go. I think that's going to be so fun. After Vlogtober's over, that is going to be my thing. Look, there's the one with Hope. That's her leaflet there. And she did all kinds of cushions like with different capital cities, and oh, I just loved it. So that was my other purchase from the Knitting and Stitching show. I also got some bags in the post. So when I was at the Southern Wool Show, which I've now mentioned 11 billion times, I bumped into a lovely lady called Julie. And she, we had a little chat, and she said she'd been making bags from using my tutorials that I did, and she'd been getting really carried away with making bags, and could she send some to me to use as giveaways or to keep or to, you know, do what I wanted to with. And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And they arrived, and she's like properly sent me a stack of bags, and they are so gorgeous. So I'm definitely going to be keeping one because there's a couple that I really like. I've already given one as a gift to my mum because it matched her sofa so well, like the cushions that she has on her sofa. It was perfect. So I gave it to my mum because then she can have it on the sofa and it just looks like it really blends in, and she was so pleased. So thank you, Julie, if you're watching. But she made a Paddington one and it's got bees as the lining. I won't show you them all in detail. There's a load of Christmassy ones. I've got reindeer, patchwork print, poinsettia, and then this lovely sort of vintage sewing pattern. Oh, and then there's this gorgeous squirrel and deer one, which is really kind of autumnal. And then there's this lovely sort of Christmassy fabrics in these I don't know what you call this lovely kind of calico type colour. So we've got little Christmas mice and hedgehog, Christmas reindeers, more mice and hedgehogs. And they've all got Christmassy lovely linings. So we've got bright red, candy canes and snowmen, which I'll show you in more detail. So you've got the Christmassy fabrics as well. I'm definitely going to use some of these as prizes for Strictly Sockalong. And then this beautiful one with penguins. It's got Christmas trees on the inside. I love that because you can actually use that all throughout the year, but you know deep inside that it's Christmas. So thank you, Julie. So I've got a whole load of things here that I'm definitely going to use as prizes and giveaways, and for helping to support the Strictly Sockalong on the podcast. And yeah, absolutely delighted. Thank you so much. I also got a really lovely surprise from Nadia, who has been a long-term viewer of this podcast, and she's so generous with her comments and her encouragement. So thank you, Nadia. And she sent me some lovely minis and a lovely note and a little notebook. But I wanted to share this particular yarn that she sent me because I just love it so much. This is going to be my next pair of DK socks. It is by Navita and it is Moomin yarn. This happens to be Moomin Troll. So you can see it's based on his backpack there. I'm assuming it's self-patterning or self-striping. It looks like it would be, doesn't it? So it's Navita, and this is my next pair of DK socks. I'm so looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Nadia. That is amazing. DK yarn, 75% wool, 25% polyamide, 225 meters in 100 grams. There we go. If it is self-striping, I'll need to find a contrast heel. But I'm sure I've got plenty of DK colours that I can use to do that. So that'll be perfect. Yeah, so thank you so much for that, Nadia, and thank you, Julie, as well, and everybody else that has sent me stuff over the past few weeks. Some of the stuff I've shown on Vlogtober. Shall we talk about the most important thing? Let's talk about the Strictly Sockalong. Did you see me going like that then? Because I was about to say Vlogtober, like that was the most important. Right, I'm going to have a little break. I'm going to turn the camera off, let it cool down. I'm going to go and get myself another cup of tea, so that I've got my Strictly Socks mug on the go, and then we're going to talk about the Strictly Sockalong. So press pause, go and get yourself a drink. If you're watching this in the evening, go and get yourself something a bit stronger. Otherwise, go and get yourself tea or coffee, and we'll meet back here. Comfort break. Right, have you all got your drinks of choice? I've got Lapsang Souchong tea by Whittards. I love it. I've said it before, but sometimes I literally just stick my face in the jar and smell it. There's something, I just love it so much. It's too hot to drink, but I'm going to keep it near my nose because it smells so gorgeous. So the Strictly Sockalong. Hang on, where's my doodah? Ta-da! We've had 10s, which means there will be a winner drawn this episode. I've already drawn it. Strictly Sockalong has been a bit of a back burner for me because of doing Vlogtober. How many times is that now? Is anyone counting that I've mentioned Vlogtober? But I had, like I said, I had a really, really lovely catch up with the chatter thread and the FO thread, and it was just wonderful. There was so much chatter going on. People are so friendly and funny. And on Instagram as well, I've got to do a bit more catching up on Instagram, but you just make me laugh so much. There was so much creative cheating going on. If you're not aware, by the way, of the rules and what the Strictly Sockalong is, go back and watch episode hang on a minute. Episode 91 is where I kind of introduced it, but basically we knit or crochet socks during the Strictly Sockalong or Dancing with the Stars or whatever, and cheating is encouraged. So loads of people join in and they don't watch Strictly at all. But I've got a good excuse for you. I'm going to share that with you in a minute. But there's been loads of cheating underway. And I wanted to give you a couple of my favourite examples so far. The canny magpie, Stacey, has been knitting whilst listening to Richie Anderson do the travel on Radio 2. Richie has, of course, gone out now, but it counts. He was a contestant this year. He still counts. So if you're listening to Radio 2 and he's doing the travel, you can knit. But my absolute standout favourite so far has to be Knitting P. Angela, and her really, really random glitter ball sighting in Norwich. I'll put the picture up. Which meant that she can just, well, she said, reckons it was such a random glitter ball sighting that she could knit for the rest of the week on her Strictly socks. But quite frankly, I think you can just knit for the rest of the year on that, because that was the funniest, most random thing that I've seen so far in the cheating, like this random glitter ball in Norwich. So that was brilliant. I love that. But I've got a new excuse for you, a new cheat. Somebody suggested to me in the comments a channel called The Wool Patch. I'm even putting my mug down, putting my Lapsang Shusong down, just so I can tell you about it. The Wool Patch is Stuart, and he runs a bricks and mortar shop in Long Melford in Suffolk in the UK. And the channel is about his shop and him as a business owner, and he was a teacher before then. And the shop sells yarn, fabric and haberdashery. But they have a series which he does with another two people, I think called Annie. I think it's Annie and Ting. And the three of them do a kind of video call, but it's really well produced, and they discuss the outfits. They discuss Tess and Claudia's outfits, they discuss all the costumes, and I think they've done 4 or 5 episodes of this so far, and it's so good. It's absolutely brilliant. So I can't remember who it was that suggested it, but I'm going to put a link underneath to the channel so you can go and have a watch. I haven't watched many more of his videos other than the Strictly ones. But oh, just brilliant. It's like a proper professional kind of, it's like watching something on It Takes Two. It's brilliant. I love the way they break down the outfits and talk about them. They are really, really good. I really enjoy it. So you can go and watch them and knit on your Strictly socks. There you go. I've just given you another reason to knit on your Strictly socks. I might send them a message to let them know about the Strictly Sockalong. Just in case they now get any weird messages going, oh, I'm watching whilst knitting my Strictly socks. And they'll be like, what? But yeah, so thank you to whoever suggested that. It was really lovely to discover that channel. I've got a couple of prizes coming. I keep picking this up and then I have to keep putting it down, and my battery's nearly gone again. What's going on? My batteries are getting a bit rubbish. I've got a couple of prizes coming. So first of all, lovely Veronica of Silly Little Sheep Yarns has donated a skein again, which she's done for the last few years. So I'm going to put a picture of that up on the screen now because it's beautiful. So thank you so much for that, Veronica. I've yet to do a kind of go through of all of the prizes I've got so far, and I do need to do that, but I'm not going to have time this episode. So I'm wondering if I might just do a separate little Strictly video. I know I did weekly Strictly videos last year, but I'm not doing that this year. But maybe I'll just do the odd one, just as a little catch up on prizes and things. I might do that if that'll be enjoyable. And then lovely Conchetta, who has donated a bag from her shop Butternut Handmade. Every year of the Strictly Sockalong so far has done so again, and I don't want to unwrap it because it's so beautifully wrapped in the tissue paper with the string, but you can just about see the fabric is bears in the forest. It's so adorable, and her bags are gorgeous. I've got 1 or 2 of her bags and they are so lovely. So that's going to be a prize as well. In fact, because it's so beautifully wrapped and I don't want to ruin it, this is going to be the prize for today, because the first 10 was drawn on the UK Strictly Come Dancing, and when the first 10 is drawn, I draw a winner at random from the chatter thread on Ravelry. There are many ways to win prizes. You can chat on the chatter thread, you can post FOs on the FO thread, you can go on Instagram and use the hashtag Strictly Sockalong 2022. If you're breaking the rules, there's a prize for that, so make sure you use the hashtag Strictly Sockalong rules. And don't worry if it doesn't show up on Ravelry as an official hashtag. I can still search using that term and be able to find people. So it's really handy. If you are cheating, please do use that term. So thank you, Conchetta, for that. Thank you, Veronica. And thank you, everybody who's donated a prize so far as well. I've got more on the way. And yeah, it's what makes the Strictly Sockalong so special is the generosity of the people who donate prizes. And it's just wonderful. So I'm definitely going to do a separate video. I've decided. So the first 10 was awarded very, very deservedly to Tyler West. I'm really rubbish with surnames. Is it Tyler West? Did I write it down? Yes, Tyler West. And his partner, his professional partner, Diane, who are just amazing. And he just seems so, he's so positive. He's such a good dancer. He's so enthusiastic and bubbly. And he's just wonderful. What a nice human being. So, and his dance that he got the first 10s for was amazing. So I went into the chatter thread to draw a winner. The first number that our little AI friend Alexa drew was number 86. So that was me. So of course I can't win a prize. So I did it again and it drew number 208, who is Vonda, who strangely I'd already exchanged that day a couple of messages with in the chatter thread, because she had mentioned that she watches, she loves it, and she's deaf. So I had asked her about how easy it is to watch the podcast with the subtitles. I want to make sure that I am making my videos accessible. I find the subtitles thing a bit confusing. You have an option to type them out, which, can you imagine typing out all of this drivel? It would take me ages, but the auto captions are really good. But I think what I need to do is make sure that I go in and double check for any errors where the auto check has picked up, you know, something on an accent or the way I say something, and it might, you know, lead to hilarious consequences. So yeah, so thank you, Vonda, for the help and the tips that you gave me. But you've also won a prize. So she's in the USA. She has 10 grandchildren, which is amazing, and she's quite young as well. She's only in her 60s. So that is yours. You have won the prize by Butternut Handmade, the beautiful bag. So if you could get in touch with me on Ravelry or Instagram and let me have your address, I will get that mailed out to you. I will say I've been having all manner of issues with mailing things overseas. I've never had a problem with things going missing, maybe like twice or 3 times in all the years that I've had an Etsy shop, but this past couple of months it's been a nightmare. I've had loads of people email me to say parcels haven't turned up. So if you're in that situation, if you bought pins or badges or anything from my Etsy shop and you're overseas and you haven't received it, please do let me know and we'll sort it out. That's a bit of a tangent, wasn't it? What else do I want to say? Yeah, that's it. So make sure you go and watch episode 91 for all the details and let me know what you're making. Let me know about your dancing yarns, your Strictly themed patterns and all of that. It's really interesting to hear so I can share it with everybody else. I think we've come to the end. My goodness, I feel like I've got a million other things to talk about, but apparently I don't. I finished. Wow, we made it. I feel really surprised. A celebratory mouthful of tea because something very exciting happened. This channel has just gone over 19,000 subscribers. Now I know that is not going to win me any YouTube awards. I'm not going to have like a thing that says YouTube 100,000 subscribers, but honestly 19,000 subscribers is beyond my wildest imagination from when I first started this channel. I love the fact that my channel has grown slowly and it's given me an opportunity to really get to know my viewers. I feel like it's been a really lovely, close community. People chat in the comments and I feel very, very lucky because I know I've said this before, but the internet can be a scary, mean place full of horrible trolls. But I'm very lucky, and the suffering from the trolls, who we do not feed ever, it has been quite minimal, and I just feel very lucky to have this really positive place, and that's because of you. That's entirely because of you and how you respond to my videos. So I just wanted to say thank you to every last 19,000 and bit of you, which is a terrible sentence and doesn't make sense, and my camera is so appalled at it that it's about to run out of battery. So I'm going to have another swig of my tea and change my battery yet again. Okay, I'm back and the battery has changed yet again. Anyway, so I reached 19,000 subscribers. So I had a little root around in my stash of prizes that I have, and I've got a couple of things that I've had for quite a while, and I thought maybe what I might do is choose one of Julie's beautiful bags and then do that as a prize with this beautiful skein of yarn and some minis as well. It's a 19,000 subscriber celebratory giveaway. So I've got this beautiful skein from Burrow and Saw, which was donated quite some time ago now as a prize for the podcast. The colourway is Cottingley. This is a really delicate purple. It's sock yarn, 75/25 merino nylon, superwash merino nylon, sorry. And it's just lovely. There's that. And then I've also got, I realised ages ago, the lovely husband and wife team over at Attic Spin Dye, that's their beautifully colourful logo there, donated quite a few bags of mini skein, like little mini skein treat bags. And I found one that I had left, that I've used some myself and I've given plenty away as prizes, but I found some that I had left, but it's quite some time ago. So there was a couple of bits of tea in there that will have gone past their sell-by date. So I'm going to take the tea out, and I will put something else in, like some chocolate or something. And I've got these beautiful 2 skeins of yarn. So those are the 2 minis, and they're so beautiful because they're so saturated with colour. And then they're in a little paper bag with a little tag, and the little tag has got a little mermaid stitch marker as well. And then some gorgeous little lavender pouch, which still smells absolutely gorgeous. So I've had those a little while, so I thought I'd put all those together nicely with another stitch marker and some chocolate and the beautiful yarn from Burrow and Saw. And what about a lovely Christmassy bag? I kind of don't want to give these away because they're so pretty and gorgeous, but look, this is the perfect sock size bag from Julie. So that would be amazing, wouldn't it? That's so cute. And this is got the beautiful Christmassy lining. So you've kind of got like subtle Christmas on the outside, but then it's Christmas inside, which I think is fabulous. So that is going to be my 19,000 subscriber giveaway, and I'll pop in some of my pins and so on if you don't have them already. So what we're going to do for the giveaway, let's do it in comments, because that's always easiest for everybody, because you're all here, you're all logged in. So let's just say if you leave a comment and you want to be in with a chance to win, just make sure you include the word, include the number 19. Because what that does is it means when I come to do a random random pick of the comment, I can look for a specific search term. So use the number 19 in your comment, and next time I will draw a winner. How about that for my 19,000 subscriber giveaway? There we go. What else did I want to say? I was texting my mum, and we were talking about something to do with the dentist. So I texted her a tooth emoji, and she was really confused because she didn't understand why I was texting her this emoji. And I was saying, well, because you've been to the dentist, but she still didn't understand. So here's the tooth emoji. It's going to be really hard to... There we go. She thought that I was texting her an emoji of a sheep's bum. And now, whenever I see the tooth emoji, all I can see is a sheep's bum. It's true. Go and type the tooth emoji into your phone and look at it. It's not a tooth, it's a sheep's bum. So that's a little something to laugh about from my mum. I hope you've enjoyed this catch up. I won't leave it as long next time. I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And until I see you next time, happy knitting, happy crocheting. And if I don't see you over on my other channel for October, I'll see you again next time. Bye.